Okay, we are now streaming on our digital platforms. We are also on TV on WCIA. A couple of tornado warnings in effect now for Livingston and McLean County. It's this one storm which is located southwest of Fairbury. That storm is the one that we are watching here. When we take a look at the circulation, it's very obvious where we've got this circulation. Maybe at this point, to me, it looks like it's slightly disjointed from the storm, but nonetheless, there is definitely some shear that is taking place here with this storm. And so we're continuing to watch that now. This is for McLean and Livingston counties. The area of circulation now about 7 miles northwest of Cropsey, about 4 miles southwest of Fairbury. Moving to the south and east, it's past Chenoa, south and east of I-55, and that's where that circulation is here. I'll bring me up on screen real quick and show you real fast what we're looking at. This right here, these greens and this red is this area of circulation of the storm. This is US 24. You go to the east, it takes you all the way to Watseka. You cut back to the west, it gets you over towards El Paso. Right here is Illinois 47. That goes up to Dwight, down to Gibson City. Gibson City sits down there. Bloomington Normal sits over here. We're in the northeastern part of McLean County and the south and western part of Livingston County where the circulation is here right now. That is our only warning and our only storm for the day. The one thing we have, though, is we've started to notice about an hour or so ago, as these storms cleared out, there's actually an outflow boundary that's sitting right here. And this storm has pulled in that outflow boundary. Outflow boundaries can be notorious for bringing in some enhanced rotation with them. It has a lot of turbulence in them. And that's why this storm is starting to rotate here on the tail end of that storm. It is the only warning we have now with this, but it still is a storm that we've got to monitor and keep an eye on very closely here. We will watch this storm and move to the south and east. Let's talk further where this is heading. Eventually downstream, not in any warning, Ford County, Sibley, Gibson City, Elliott, maybe as far east as Paxton, then to the south end into northern Champaign County downstream. Might be an hour or so from there, maybe a little bit longer, but that would be a Fisher, Rantoul, Gifford issue if the storm continues on the track that it's heading here. You can see those bright colors showing where that circulation is developing here now. Very obvious signature for us at this point. I'm going to switch to the Chicago radar. We'll get another view of it here, and we get the idea that there is certainly some turbulence right in northeastern McLean County, moving to the south and east at 30 miles an hour. That will bring it in the far southwestern portion of Livingston County. This does not include Pontiac. This does not include Dwight. It does not include Bloomington Normal. It does not include Ford County at this point. Ford County is next in line. We'll give you an early heads up there as the storm moves to the south and to the east. There is a severe thunderstorm warning for the rest of the storm, though, in southern Livingston County. And I'll pull up radar and show you what we're looking at here to give you an idea. The storm itself here, there's likely some 60 to 70 mile per hour winds, and there could be some quarter-size hail mixed in there as it moves to the south and to the east. It will move across 24. Once it does so, it'll stay south of 24. That strong part of the storm that's not tornadic but still has wind and hail is a Fairbury, Forest, Chatsworth, Roberts, Thawville, perhaps Melvin issue. The tornadic part of the storm is on that southwestern flank. Our outflow boundary is cutting in here. You can see this hook developing right there. Our tornado now would be just on the county line of Livingston and McLean County, about 2 or 3 miles south of US 24, if it's anywhere moving off to the south and east. We've got to watch for Sibley next. It's awfully close to Sibley. There is no warning in Ford County, but if I were in Sibley, I'd be ready to go at a moment's notice here. I think I'll make the same call for Melvin and Gibson City at this point. We'll be watching closely, keeping an eye on things, and ready to move at a moment's notice with this particular storm. Let me check the National Weather Service chat real quick and get some updates from them. And I'll do the best I can as well to keep monitoring any questions we have on our social media. We're streaming on Facebook. We are on digital platforms on the WCIA3 weather app. And we are keeping an eye on things with this particular storm as it moves off to the south and to the east. The latest from it is likely 70 mile per hour winds. There may be some golf ball size hail up in this storm now in the Fairbury area, based on what I'm seeing. Would not surprise me if we started getting some big hail from Fairbury to the south and east towards Strawn, maybe as far east as Forest. Quarter to golf ball hail likely, 70 mile per hour winds likely. A developing tornado also likely in the southwestern part of the storm that sits right there as it moves off to the south and to the east. The latest from the National Weather Service, they're saying this storm has everything right with it. and it is the severe weather potential increasing in southwestern Ford County for the next little bit. Let's talk here about the tornado warning. We don't have a watch out today. This is just one storm. But we're going to talk about a tornado warning. This is for Livingston, McLean counties. Remember, proceed to your safe place. Mobile homes are a no-go. You've got time to get to a safe spot, a sturdy structure, a well-built structure, a site-built structure. No driving in that area. Leave your car, head to the nearest convenience store, the nearest gas station. I know in that neck of the woods, there's not a lot there for gas stations and whatnot. I know Colfax has a Casey's. You've got the gas station in Sibley. Perhaps head home and avoid that area. When you're in a sturdy structure, remember, in, down, and up. We're inside the most interior part of your home as possible, getting down as low as we can, covering up with blankets, pillows, helmets. Even the helmet thing is really important. That protects your brain. We tell kids on school visits that we go, stick a helmet on here. The most important part is your brain. We want to protect that. And if there's any flying debris that happens to intrude into your home, your helmet will protect you from that. I've been in many situations in my first TV job in Mississippi, met many kids who have survived tornadoes with helmets on. So we really recommend grabbing the bicycle helmet, build a pillow fort, have a little fun here on this Saturday afternoon with the kids, and seek shelter from this tornado warning. We will give the all clear for specific locations. Also, turn your television volume up as loud as you can. You can also follow this on the digital app, follow on WCI3 Weather app, and be sure and get more on Facebook Live. You can listen there from your safe spot as well. Let's talk specifically about downstream. This is for southwestern Ford County, Sibley, Garber, Gibson City, Guthrie, Melvin, Elliott, perhaps as far as Paxton. We're downstream from this. If you're in a mobile home, you've got some time to get to a safe place and move ahead of this storm. You got time downstream to do that. Do that now. Be prepared to seek shelter. Head to your safe spot. Maybe clear out your spot in the cellar or the basement or inside your interior closet. Have your phone charging. It's always a good idea. And arrange that safe place. Flashlight, you might need that just in case any power outages occurs. And then, of course, check the WCI3 Weather app. Make sure you've got your current location programmed in there so you can get updates as needed. We do know in this part of the world, Cropsey has sounded the sirens, and rightfully so. And the storm now near Fairbury, it's south of Fairbury about 2 or 3 miles, moving to the south and to the east at 25 miles an hour. Not moving all that fast. Still moving at enough of a pace where it won't just sit over the same areas, but we'll see that storm carry into Ford County here before long. So we are watching very closely the southwestern part of Ford County downstream from this. Do have a report. Cropsey has sounded the sirens. There is Chinoa sirens sounding, and there is a funnel cloud confirmed with this from spotters that is rotating southwest of, let's see, that'd be a little bit ago. It'd be southeast of Chinoa about 6 miles, it looks like, from this storm. So north of Colfax, now we've got a area of rotation with the storm. Just texting on my spotter. My dad's out there right now. He's in Gibson City. I had him go out in the storm as soon as we saw it starting to develop. And so I'm looking to see if he's got any information. And just getting some information on what he has there. So we continue to watch this storm. Let's show you the velocity product. We look at Storm Tracker Doppler like that. That is the general rain. You know, what's the intensity of it? But this here shows us how the storm is moving. We're looking at the radar in Lincoln right now, I believe. Yes, I've got the Lincoln one pulled up. So green colors are moving towards the radar. Red colors are moving away. Here's your toward motion moving southwest. There's your motion moving north and east. That rotation now is south of Fairbury, west of Strom, and is probably sitting about 3 or 4 miles north of Cropsey, 5 or 6, maybe 7 miles west and north of Sibley as it continues its move to the south and to the east. And so we will continue to monitor this as the warning goes until 2:15 for the affected areas. This is a look in Gibson City. It's hard to make out on the screen here. What I'm looking at is right in here. I can see there's a dark area, and it looks like there's a little bit of a tail cloud there, which gives me this indication there may be a wall cloud that's developing or in place right in that area. Let me bring it full screen for you, and we'll take a look at that. And you'll be able to see this storm from the Gibson City camera. It's still a ways away. It's 10 miles to Sibley, another 5 or so miles to Cropsey. So this storm's still about a good 15 minutes or so, 15 miles, I should say, from that camera. But it's about the best we can do at this point, and we'll continue to monitor and keep an eye on it for the next little bit. We still have the warning in place here. This Gibson City camera is at the hospital on the north side of town. We just got an extension of the severe thunderstorm warning into Ford County. If you're in Gibson City, you just got that alert. Also in Sibley and other areas here. And I'll pull that map up here in a second as we continue to watch this severe weather move on through. One storm is all we've got, but it is on the outflow boundary, and it is in the right spot for this to happen. And that is why we've got this coverage continuing here until at least 2:15, it appears, barring any additions or cancellations from the National Weather Service. So they're saying 70-mile-per-hour winds and golf ball size hail likely now in Ford County. Let me get this thing taken care of here real quick. I'm trying to adjust my graphics because I want to get up. I want to get in my. Okay, hang on here. So we need percent. Again, a little one-man band here in the week, but that's okay. We're here always and watching those storms for you. I'm just getting a few things squared away on the backside so I can get my my Apple TV ready, because I think I'm going to want to switch over and show you some things across the area as we watch here. So there's my Apple TV. Let me get this connected, and I'm going to switch over to another camera here real quick and to just give you an idea of what we're looking at as well. So there we go. We're getting that in. Okay, this, bear with me here, sorry. Okay, here we go. Let's switch over to our camera here. I'm going to use an app called Radar Scope here real quick with you to kind of give us a different view of what this storm is doing. See these bright blues right here and these reds? This is where that circulation is sitting here. There's Anchor, here's Cropsey, Strawn is here, Forest and Fairbury sit up here, Colfax is down there, Gibson City is down here. This is on that Bend and Livingston County and the northeastern part of McLean County as we're watching and keeping an eye on it. I'm going to switch radars as well to the Lincoln radar. A great app here that really helps us see what's going on. That's where the circulation is sitting now here, northwest of Cropsey, north of Anchor. We've got the tornado warning that's in effect for southwestern Livingston and northeastern McLean counties. There you can see right here, what we're looking at is this is the core. In fact, as I zoom out a little bit, a very classic supercell structure taking advantage of the instability today. There is a lot of instability. So there was some big hail now between Fairbury and Strawn. That's moving to the south and to the east. We see this new severe thunderstorm warning that's been included here for Ford County, Gibson City, Sibley, Melvin, Elliott, Purduville, from Paxton west, including 10 Mile Grove. It's going to include the southwestern part of the county too. This is where large hail is heading, and eventually this may be upgraded for parts of the area to a tornado warning based on what I'm seeing. We've got this inflow notch in here, and that inflow notch is where the winds are pulling in. It's feeding on that instability and riding that outflow boundary. This is where our circulation is going to be as it continues to the south and to the east here for the next little bit. I'm going to pull up our debris tracker here. Normally we use this as a way to see what's in the atmosphere. Is there something being detected that shouldn't be there? And that is not the case at this point. Though we see these blues here, that's not debris. What that is that's the inflow winds just clearing out here ahead of that circulation. We get some strong inflow. That's when we get that circulation to spin up in that area. But there's no indication to me at this point that there's a tornado down. We are seeing it strengthen, though, and that may change here very soon based on all indications with this particular storm as it moves to the south and to the east. Here you can see that general progression. That center track there is going to come very close to Gibson City. The hail core also rapidly increasing southeast of Fairbury. Really concerned about $50 to golf ball size hail now from Strawn to Sibley to Melvin down towards Paxton. Maybe far enough east in the Paxton area. We'll watch even Elliott as this storm carries off to the south and east. So we're going to watch it very closely here for the next little bit. Let's get a view back to our Gibson City camera now, and we'll show you here that you can see in the distance that wall cloud, the edge of it. You look real close on the TV, right over the left side of the middle school there is where this is at. You zoom in real close and you'll get a look at it here as it continues off to the south and east. This is coming right towards that camera, folks. So we've got to watch and keep a very close eye on this particular storm for the next little bit. All right, just getting views on the Apple TV, and let me get this up. This is a view from my dad. He's out chasing now. We're going to pop back over to the other camera real quick. And he just sent this here. This right here, I think this looks like it's going to be Anchor or maybe Colfax. This is a bottom view. This is a very low wall cloud right in here. And this whole thing is spinning. That's the right edge. That's your inflow tail pulling into the storm, feeding on instability. This storm's spinning right here, the updraft, and I'll see if I can confirm a location, but to me it looks like that's either going to be Anchor, that might be Colfax. I know he was heading west of 9 and zooming to the north, and so this storm really moving quickly to the south and east at 25 miles an hour. A very healthy storm, such a low base on it as well. We can see it from much further away on our camera in Gibson City, and I'm keeping an eye on that there. But we have spotters looking at this, reporting rotation. This is my dad that's out there chasing. You know, we've grown up doing this together for years, and so now he's out and I'm here. So we're bringing you that coverage with this storm for the next little bit. All right, so as we continue to watch here, we've still got the Gibson City camera up. Yeah, we just got production coming on in. If you guys want to work with Dallas and take control, we can do some double boxes.
You're not live on the X.
That's fine. If you want to take care of that too, we're just on digital platforms and on CIA as we've got this tornado coverage. So they're going to take care of that and watch this storm as it moves off to the south and east. So let me forward that report. Okay, let me bring the radar back up. We'll talk about it. Bring that radar screen back up and what we've got. We've just got one storm, but this storm is on the tail end, and it is impressive looking here as it moves off to the south and to the east. We're centered now primarily on Livingston, Ford, and McLean counties, right in where all those counties come together. Sibley, Colfax, Anchor. We can give an all clear now for US 24. That's going to be Fairbury, Forest, and Chatsworth. The hail core, the tornado threat, is south of US 24 at this point in the southern part of Livingston County, and so we'll continue to watch this storm as it moves off to the south and to the east. In Ford County, this will not affect the Panhandle. This is not going to affect Piper City northward. This will be a south and southwestern Ford County issue as we watch. I suspect that there will be a new tornado warning coming shortly for Ford County, including Sibley, Gibson City, Elliott, based on what we're seeing here. So we will watch and keep an eye on this and just kind of looking at all these different reports we're getting some more photos as well from that same area. Very low wall cloud in the Anchor area. We'll continue to the south and to the east. Seeing some questions where this is heading. You know, we're not talking a lot about too far downstream, but on the general track here, on the southeast track, there's not really a lot to stop this storm once it gets past Gibson City into northern Champaign County. So we may have this storm that's a little bit of a nuisance for us here for a while as it's carrying to the south and to the east. And so that's something that we're going to watch and keep a close eye on here for a little bit. You know, I don't want to say for sure it's going to or not be on Ford County, but I'd be watching in northern Champaign County and eventually Vermilion County. But at this point, our main focus is as downstream as the storm moves into Ford County. We'll be watching closely here for the next little bit. Getting some more pictures in. This is an impressive looking storm here. I'm getting these photos saved, and we'll continue to watch and keep an eye on it here. And I need to get some of these photos posted onto social media so that way the National Weather Service can see what we've got coming into us here. But this is a rapidly rotating storm moving to the south and east. Plenty of wind shear. We've got the outflow boundary it's riding. And so it will continue to the south and to the east. Okay, so there's pictures I'm posting on Twitter right now, and I'm tagging the National Weather Service. And we've got to tag both Chicago and Lincoln. It's kind of splitting. So Livingston County and Ford County are National Weather Service and Chicago. Then you've got McLean County, which is National Weather Service and Lincoln. They're in communications and talking about this particular storm. and they're issuing those warnings concurrently. That's why those polygons look a little funky for each area here, but it is still something that we're continuing to watch and keep a close eye on here. We will monitor things, and let me get this last photo in here. And one more just came on in, and then I'm going to show you these photos as well as we move on through. So this storm now is still moving to the south and east at 25. We've got reports now of rotation over Colfax area. And the wall cloud, very obvious at this point. So my dad is out. He's out with my Aunt Becky. So Becky Reiners and Daniel Dickey, they're both out here watching this storm as it carries to the south and to the east. Okay, got that report tweeted out. Let me show you some of these photos real quick, and I can give you a vantage point of it. Since we're going to switch over, and my production team is in the back. They're kind of getting set up on things as well and making sure we can look at it. So let me just switch back over here to the quad, and we'll show you. This is an early report from this morning. Some of the storms that came through Ford and Iroquois County had some small hail with it. We're probably more than likely now dealing with ping pong, golf balls in southern Livingston County as these storms move on through. This is that look earlier we showed you, that wall cloud. This looks like it's going to be Colfax. I think Anchor is kind of over here based on what he's told me. There's another view of it, and what I see here is that right here, you see where that's wrapping up? They're looking kind of to the north and to the west, so it looks like that storm's wrapping up in this area here. And another view of that really low wall cloud that's zoomed on in, and then a very peculiar look here to the storm on the south side. There's been reports of funnels earlier. There's likely lots of rising motion and even some rotation there. Whether it tightens up enough to get to be a confirmed tornado or not, we'll wait and see. I haven't had a confirmed tornado report come in yet from this, but we do have rotation. We've had reports of funnel cloud. We've got spotters that are with eyes on it here on this storm. Let's take a look here a little bit closer on radar scope and look at what we're seeing. First off, in my mind, it looks like to me the storm is diving more south. And a couple of things will happen in that scenario here. One, you can make out the outflow boundary right here being pulled in. If the core of the storm goes more south, then it will potentially cut off this circulation right here a little bit, and that may cause it to weaken over the next little bit. But it will continue to bring a large hail threat. Instead of going more southeast towards Sibley, that may carry it more Sibley down Highway 47 towards Gibson City. So we're going to watch that here. This particular storm, the National Weather Service saying there is up to golf ball size hail and 70-mile-per-hour winds with it. Your core is now north of Cropsey by about 2 or 3 miles. And I tell you what, I sure hope there's not any hail, because all the farmers in this area have got some beautiful crops this time of year, and we start getting quarter to golf ball hail and 70-mile-per-hour winds, and it will not end well for those folks there. So, say a prayer for the farmers. It's been a rough year for them. I'm sure they're nervously watching. I'm nervously watching too, knowing that there's some hail in this particular area moving to the south and east, and we'll likely hear from some of them over the next little bit. Downstream severe thunderstorm warning for Ford County includes Sibley, Gibson City, Melvin, Elliott, 10 Mile Grove, Purdueville. You take 116 north towards Roberts. Roberts will probably be in the heavy rain, the lightning. The tornado threat will be well west of Roberts. It's well away from Piper City and Kempton. We're not worried about northern Ford County, but this storm moving to the south and east is something we've still got to watch. As I switch over to velocity here, there's still signs that this storm is feeding plenty on the instability that's in place with this outflow boundary. This red here is red moves away, and that's feeding into the storm. That circulation now sitting northeast of Colfax by about 4 or 5 miles or so. Let me just measure that out to make sure that I'm... it looks like here about 4 to 5 miles or so from the center to Colfax is where that circulation is, and so that's what we continue to watch. We'll watch Sibley, Gibson City next in line. No tornado warning now, but we're watching closely. This still basically is for rural areas west of Strawn, south of Fairbury, north and east of Colfax. Primarily here, the next town that's in line is Cropsey, and it's very close to you now, Cropsey, with that circulation sitting on the county line north of town for Livingston and in McLean County. Did just get a new severe thunderstorm warning. This is interesting. Remember we talked about that southward push? First off, a couple of things. This right here is that outflow boundary into the storm, but this new severe thunderstorm warning just came out for the eastern half of McLean County. I think that's a sign they also see that southward movement with it, and that southward movement we'll see. It could potentially cut off the original circulation, but then that may allow for a new circulation to strengthen, especially as this outflow boundary moves slowly to the south. So we'll watch and see. It could go either way at this point. And then it looks like here for eastern McLean County, let me just check real quick, and I'm going to jump back over to our graphics here. They have opted, it looks like they've opted to, it looks like they've opted to replace the warning. And I think production in the back may have control now. You have control? Okay, if we can, go ahead and bring my Max 2 full screen real quick. And then I'm going to switch my things here. Just so I can keep our digital platform streamed and synced correctly right now. So that's going to take a little button switch in my end. Okay, so we've got it switched over to audio and video for digital and online is going to be on the production. So go ahead and bring it back to me real quick here. We're going to update real quick in the storm and keep an eye on it. The severe thunderstorm warning continues for McLean, Ford, and Livingston counties. They have opted to drop the tornado warning for McLean County and replace it with a severe thunderstorm warning tornado possible tag. A sign that storm moving south. At this point, maybe it's weakening a little bit like we kind of mentioned. It is still, though, going to be carrying off to the south and east. Some golf ball size hail very much could be a possibility along Highway 47 through Ford County, and some 60 to 70 mile per hour winds may also be something to watch with this particular storm as it moves off to the south and to the east. So just getting, just checking updates here real quick. Colfax is reporting sustained 60 to 70 mile per hour winds and from a spotter, and they have the sirens going off in Colfax. I don't blame one bit here with the storm and what it's been showing here. At this point, my tornado warning has dropped, but the severe thunderstorm warning still has a considerable tag on it, which is used for a damage indicator when we're talking about potential wind and hail damage. And so here we go. That 3 o'clock tornado, the 3 o'clock severe thunderstorm warning for Ford County. Could be golf ball size hail and 70 mile per hour winds. The tornado also possible with that as it carries south and east. And then that McLean County warning also has that tornado possible tag here. And so we'll continue to watch. That one goes until 2:45. The Livingston County warning is set to expire here in about 15 minutes or less. It's 2:03 right now. Now it's 2:03. This goes until 2:15. Golf ball size hail and 70 mile per hour winds likely. And we've got that report of 60 to 70 mile per hour winds in the Colfax area. So we're watching this very closely and keeping an eye on it as we look here in a minute. All right, I've got some video that's coming in, and let me just watch it real quick here in the sign, and then we're going to head back to the quad, I think, and show you it before we make a decision on what we're going to do next with our coverage. But they're saying that the warnings. Okay, let me just check the National Weather Service. They're continuing the warning here. For 60 mile per hour winds and quarter-size hail. So what we're going to do here is very shortly, we're actually going to wrap up our coverage on TV. We will stay on digital platforms, though, and then we'll be ready to go back on air if needed here. But I want to hold for a little bit longer because I'm suspicious that this is not done yet based on what I'm seeing here. All right, if we can, let's bring the quad up, and I'm going to show you some of this rotation that is being spotted in the area here. There we go. You can almost see here on the end how their swirl is centered right in there. And that coming in just moments ago, that's where we've got to watch if this rotation can tighten, if we can produce something here. This is near the anchor area. And then I've got another video that's come on in. Let me get that other video up. This here is a look at the wall cloud as a whole. There's your tail cloud from in the storm. Your circulation forms, and it's going to be right in here on the left side of the screen where we've got that as they pan. So we're getting a good view of that from my dad and Aunt Becky out in the field. This is Route 9 right here that they're on. I'm sorry, that's going to be Colfax Road, I think, based on where they're at up north of Route 9. So we'll continue to watch. And then those other pictures we had also right here. This is an earlier picture, and then we had another picture come in earlier from the Colfax and the anchor area. Let's go ahead and bring Max 1 back full screen real quick. I'm sorry, Max 2 full screen if we can, just to show you this storm. What I want to do is I want to kind of read what the National Weather Service is saying. At this point, the National Weather Service is now saying it's moving more to the south. And that's some good news for us here in Gibson City and in Sibley, where it may stay just outside of our area into the eastern part of McLean County. That south movement may also be temporarily weakening the rotation, but there still are spotters that are reporting this. You can see here that southward movement. So the hail core likely now comes down the county line on McLean and Ford County west of Highway 47. Not by much. I'm not saying we're in the clear in Gibson City or Sibley. We've still got our own problems to deal with here, but that should keep the rotating part of the storm in McLean County. And we're going to watch this closely and keep an eye on what happens with this here. We just got a report of quarter-size hail and 60-mile-an-hour sustained winds from this here in the northeastern part of McLean County. And that'd be north and east of Colfax near the Cropsey area based on what I'm seeing as the storm is taking that hard right turn. Sometimes that'll pinch off the initial rotation, but a hard right turn in a storm is always concerning, because it will eventually mean the rotation has to increase as it latches onto that outflow boundary, but maybe that will keep it over more rural areas in west of Highway 47. So we're going to watch very closely and keep an eye on this here for the next little bit. The National Weather Service describing this as a dangerous supercell moving to the south and east, and I agree with them here. I think we're going to get some quarter-size hail and larger out of this based on what we're looking at, and that's why we're sticking with this for a little bit longer, because I'm not convinced that the rotation is done weakening just yet. I want to stay with it and keep a very close eye on that. Of course, I've got my Gibson City camera up, and we'll look at that in a little bit as we watch that storm come on in. Let me go ahead and here and pull the hail up real quick on this storm, the hail size. And what I want to do is show you where that hail core is. First off, it's between Colfax and Anchor now moving to the south. And as it does so, you see those pink shades. Those pink shades here, you can go ahead and bring me on camera too if you want. Those pink shades right in here is indicating larger than quarter-size hail. Now understand we've got a lot of heat out there, so some of that is melting as it falls, but it would not surprise me if we had ping pong to golf ball size hail reports coming between Colfax and Anchor as it slides to the south. I know our director, Jalen, in the back, he's got family and friends in Colfax, and he'll let me know if he gets any reports too. That moving more south and southeast, it'll come across the curves in Route 9 at the Saybrook exit there. It takes the Saybrook Road to the south, so we'll watch in Saybrook. It's still very close to Gibson City. The hail should stay just to the west of Sibley. My friend TJ Quinn, he's the fire chief up at the Sullivan Township Fire Department. He says they're heading to the west to watch the storm and keep an eye on it with the fire department. Gibson City also going to be keeping a close eye on that here. Maybe it will miss Gibson City proper, but it will move to the south and southeast and will come close. We still may get some hail in those areas, but at this point I'm more interested in the curves at County Line Road on Route 9 and the Saybrook curves based on that right turn from the storm with the hail size here moving on in. Very much Colfax. I think we'll get some reports from Colfax and Anchor if they're not already coming in from this storm. We have no immediate, we do not immediately believe that this is going to produce a tornado at this point. The tornado warnings have been dropped. We still have the severe thunderstorm warnings. It's likely that there's some good hail in there. And you see that red outline for McLean County here? That red outline indicates that they've added the tornado possible tag to the box. What that means is they're watching that rotation very closely. It's a step below a tornado warning, and a very small step here at this point based on what I'm seeing. Other thing to mention, again, Iroquois County, Benton County, Indiana, that flash flood warning, that's going to continue until 6:15. There's been some parts of Iroquois County today that, as of lunchtime, had, just seeing that there, at lunchtime, they had 2 to 4 inches in the county, and they may get another 2 to 4 inches out of this before all is said and done. I'm just getting reports now of golf ball size hail and 70-plus mile-per-hour winds with this storm, and let me just type in the address, to get a confirmation of exactly where that is. It's going to be 3850 east, 2200 north. That's going to be up in the northern part of the county here, very near. I'm trying to get my county roads to pop up here. So 3850 east, 2200 north road, and that's going to be the Colfax area. And make sure I've got my 3850 east, 2250 north. There's some golf ball size hail being reported with this storm. In that area. And so that's what the local emergency manager is reporting with this particular storm. There's going to be a couple different areas here. I mean, we see right in here, northeastern McLean County, near the Triple Point, Ford, McLean, Livingston County, there northwest of Sibley. There's some hail right there coming down the county line by Cropsey and Anchor. And then Colfax also, near or just east of Colfax. I suspect they're getting a lot of wind there at this point from this particular storm with this area here. So it sounds like Cropsey is resounding the sirens due to the high winds, the high straight line winds. And I don't blame them one bit. That's why we're keeping our coverage here. This is a dangerous storm, folks, moving south and east here. You see those bright colors. What I want to do here is talk about the rotation specifically, and then we'll talk about the strong straight line winds and the rear flank downdraft winds that are in that. Right in here, you see these bright reds? That's our inflow into the storm. These greens here are very strong winds that are wrapping around the back side of that storm and will push out here. And so within that storm, there's a very strong core about a mile or two east of Colfax proper, very near Anchor, and then south and west of Cropsey, where we've got in the rain a lot of strong wind. The hail is also there. And it continues off to the south and east. We've got siren reports in Colfax as well. I don't blame them. With 70-mile-per-hour winds, you'll have trees and power lines come down. And that type of situation, they've upped the wording on that to considerable damage likely in eastern McLean County. I do want to mention, the first thing is this does not include Bloomington Normal. This does not include the I-55 corridor. It does include Route 9 from 165 east, Ellsworth, Arrowsmith, Saybrook, Colfax, Anchor, Cropsey, even over towards Cooksville, though I think Cooksville might be a little far to the west with this particular storm. All right, Pat Harmit just sent me a message. He says he's got some hail 2 miles east of Cropsey. Pat, if you can, get a size estimate. That'd be helpful here. I know he's a farmer out there and probably does not enjoy hearing that, but any reports we can get are appreciated. Golf ball size hail being reported in the Anchor area, and some power outages now coming in the Colfax area from this storm as it moves on through. This storm is slow moving too, because when storms take a right turn, oftentimes they'll anchor on a boundary, turn to the right, and that eventually will help that rotation pick up. But it also may very well allow for the storm to slow down a little bit. And that's what we're seeing here. This storm moving to the south at a whopping 15 miles an hour. That's not very fast at all here. It'll take a long time to push to the south through McLean County. And so we talked about that southeastward track, Fisher, Rantoul, off towards Vermilion County. At this point, I'm thinking more that southern track is going to carry it towards Farmers City, Whiteheath, Mahomet, maybe Fisher we'll have to watch. We're still keeping an eye on Gibson City. We're giving an all clear now to Roberts, Paxton, Purdueville, 10 Mile Grove, and we'll continue to watch in Champaign County, but this storm now moving south is something to watch. Okay, I'm just getting some video in, and let me just look at it here. This is from downtown Colfax, and what I'm going to do here is I want to get this full screen real quick, and then we're going to pull it up. Seems like my phone is not allowing me to do that. Jalen, do you have a way in the back to download that video and get it into the system yourself? Okay, she's going to work on that here, because I can see the video, and it's some strong wind. He's got that in. Or Jalen, if you've got you may have sent that direct. If you can just text me that video, I'll be able to pull it in myself as well. I know you sent it to me on Twitter, but we can get that taken care of. All right. So at this point, the good news is here for Ford County. The worst of the storm will stay west of Highway 47. We still are going to get some wind and some rain in Gibson City. That's also has the potential for some hail, but the hail core will be out by the county line. I know out in that direction, the county line, we're looking for a Gibson City camera off in the distance. We'll get some rain and perhaps some wind in here, but the worst of the storm now is going to be off to the north and west. It'll be out 4, 5, 6 miles. Something else to note, you can see here on the top of the screen, the clouds moving from left to right. That's the inflow pulling into the storm here and continuing to move on in. Okay, so I should be able to get this video up now on Max 1 full screen. We got that here, Jalen. Are you ready for Max One full screen? There we go. So here's the video that came from Colfax. This is downtown Colfax. And Jalen, if you could tell me who sent this video in. Your dad did? Jalen's dad. Look, this is a family ordeal here, folks. Where we've got my director's dad's out from Colfax here. We've got my dad and my aunt out watching these storms. Again, this came from downtown Colfax, where they've had 70-mile-per-hour winds. There are some power outages reported in the area, and they've got 3 miles west of Cropsey. There's been golf ball size hail and wind gusts of 70 miles per hour with this particular storm moving to the south at 15 miles an hour. It sounds like, folks, that we are repeating a lot the same things here. That's what happens when we have a slow-moving storm that's moving at 15 miles an hour. Some of these events will get 50, 60 mile per hour winds with storms, and that these storms will move at 50, 60 mile per hour, and they'll move through quickly. We're talking about one town, and then 5 minutes later, we're talking about the next town. We're still talking about the same areas with the storm here as it moves to the south. So what I'm going to do here, Jalen, is if we can, at about 90 seconds from now, at 2:18, we're going to end our television coverage. I'm going to give you 90 seconds to jump over to our digital platforms. We'll continue to stream on the WCIA3 weather app. We'll continue to stream also on Facebook. You can go to Chief Meteorologist Kevin Leidy. You can go to my Facebook page. You can go to Jack Gerfin's Facebook page. You can go to the news page. You can go to Twitter and stream it there on our profiles as well. We've got it streaming online, and we will continue to do so. But we're going to end our coverage and take a little break on TV and focus on the digital side. The moment that a tornado warning is issued, we will jump right back on, or the moment we see the need to come back on with updates on television, then we will do so. But we're about 50 seconds away, so be sure and jump on over to our coverage on digital platforms if you so wish. Let's give it real quick, and last all clear, Livingston County. You're done with this storm. We hope there's no more storms for the day, but it's still something we're going to watch here. This now is the southwestern part of Ford County, the eastern part of McLean County. The storm now over Anchor and Colfax, moving to the south with 70-mile-per-hour winds and some golf ball size hail. And that's why we're going to continue our digital platform here. The indication of rotation, not as obvious. It's still something we're going to watch, and so we will watch that closely and keep you updated. I'm meteorologist Jacob Dickey. Thanks for joining us on TV. We'll be on digital platforms for you here for as long as needed, and we'll see you here if necessary. Now back to your regularly scheduled program. Okay, so we are still on our digital platforms now, folks. We're clear on television. We're going to stay with you here with this dangerous storm moving to the south and to the east. It's primarily, the worst of it is now in eastern McLean County. Eastern McLean County, where we're watching this the most here. And this storm now is crossing 165. 165 is the highway. It's almost like a back way to get from Bloomington to Sibley here. You go through Cropsey's up here, then Anchor, then Colfax, then Cooksville, then Fletcher, then Myrna, where they got the bar there that's got some good food. And then you get down to Route 9 here, and you can zip on into Bloomington. It's firmly sitting over that, still north of Route 9. And it's been north of Route 9 for a while now. It's trying its best to carry to the south and to the east here. 2 hail cores stick out to me. 1, Colfax, and points to the south and east. 2, near the Cropsey area, north and west of Sibley. I did get a report of some hail in the Sibley area as well, and we know that there's some power outages in the Colfax area with this particular storm, and so we will watch. There's been Anchor now has some golf ball size hail being reported by a friend there. Some hail in the Cropsey area being reported also. So we're getting some reports of some large hail with this storm, and that doesn't surprise me. With this storm. Other thing, I haven't talked about the lightning. Let's pick on the lightning here. Look at all those lightning strikes. This is an electric storm too. And there's some bolts, see this here? Well ahead of the storm. I tell you what, Moraine View State Park, I haven't mentioned them yet. I haven't really mentioned the 136 corridor, Bellflower, Leroy, the Empire exit. I haven't talked a lot about there. But down that way, we need to start thinking about the lightning potential. It's a weekend. It's a warm weekend. There's a lot of campers out there. And so if you know anyone who's at Moraine View State Park, that is something that we want to stress is important for folks there to be aware of. Tag them on our Facebook here. You say, hey, the meteorologist guy said, Marine View State Park, tag your friend Jimmy Joe or Billy Bob or Sally Sue who's out there camping, or anyone who's out and about, because we want to let them know. They probably hear the lightning and thunder. They see the lightning, hear the thunder, and they're probably aware that something's there, but give them direct access to this storm as it continues to the south and to the east. And so we're watching that here. There's a lot of lightning here, which does not surprise me with this storm. Let's talk about where the storm is heading. This is moving south at 15 miles an hour. So it is moving very slowly to the south here. On that southward track here, Illinois 47 goes right here from Sibley, Gibson City, just west of Fisher at 136 down to Mahomet. This storm will track along and west of there. Is it far enough west that I can say you're all clear, Fisher, Mahomet, Champaign-Urbana? No. We'll have to watch in these areas as well, but at 15 miles an hour where the storm is now, in an hour it'll be down on 136 Fisher. At another hour, then it'll be crossing 74. So it could pick up a little bit, could slow down a little bit, might turn and move a little bit. But we know this general trajectory. I can't rule out Champaign-Urbana, and we would get some good rain out of this if that came into town, which would be very helpful. But we don't want to deal with the hail, we don't want to deal with the wind, and we don't want to have that rotation spin back up, which still is a possibility with this dangerous supercell thunderstorm. That's something that we're going to keep an eye on here. Further downstream, Mansfield, Mahomet, Farmers City, White Heath, Monticello. It's a couple hours away from there at 15 miles an hour, but still, we're kind of thinking that's the next area that it'll head, and so that's why we're going to watch this closely as it moves off to the south. Let me just do an area-wide view and talk about what's going on here. If you're watching, that's a lot of town names. Let me reset that here. If you are watching in Springfield, Decatur, Effingham, Mattoon, Charleston, nothing of concern for you at this point. We're mainly watching McLean, Ford. Eventually, it's going to be eastern DeWitt, northern Piatt, and north and western Champaign County here, where we'll watch this dangerous supercell thunderstorm with a history of 70-mile-per-hour winds and golf ball-sized hail move off to the south and to the east. And so that's something that we're going to watch closely on here. We talked about how, good news for 47. I tell you what. In the Sibley area, just west of town on 165. You go north on 47, you get past the gas station there, little convenience store. They usually got some cheap gas there too. You take a left towards the west, this is still maybe a concern for the Gibson City area at this point. I think the storm's trying to figure out how it's going to structure itself here, but your area of circulation, it's very weak at this point. Disorganized would sit somewhere in here. But this is a little concerning to me, seeing some of those pinks pick back on up. And as I pull the hail tracker on here real fast, still getting indications that hail is 47 and west. It's going to be a very close call for Gibson City. There is some small hail in Sibley, and if somebody in Sibley can let me know what's going on. I saw a comment earlier on the chat that there is some small hail in Sibley. The size of it is great. You can see where this hail is here. These purples, you start getting up towards 2 inches of estimated hail size here. That's going to be 2 inches is going to be larger than golf balls. We got to factor in a little bit of melting. We got to factor in some of the other features here. So we think it's ping pong ball to golf ball size hail based on those reports now. South of 165, Colfax, Anchor, Cropsey. This now is in that middle land between Route 9 and 165. East of Cooksville in the Colfax, Anchor, Cropsey area. Eventually Aerosmith and Saybrook. Bellflower, a little ways for you. It's close to Gibson City. In fact, if we can bring that Gibson City camera, I think I have that set on the weather camera. If we can bring that full screen for me. It's Champaign. Let me switch that real quick then. Should be Gibson City in about 5 seconds. We're getting a good view of that here. You can see to the right side of the screen over the middle school, that lighter color, that's your rain. The left side there, now west of the ball field, that is going to be where the lowering we've been watching is. Very flat base. Nothing sticks out to me at this point. We got spotters watching it closely. And then in particular, kind of in the middle ground there, in the middle of your screen and slight middle left, is where the largest of the hail will be. I can't rule out in Gibson City that we're going to get some hail out of this, but we'll see how it pans out here. We're watching it all. We're keeping a close eye on it with the hail threat. It may be the largest hail stays just west. It'll be a very close call here in areas that are affected by this. And so we're going to keep a close eye on that and watch that camera closely. If you want a double box as well, I'm fine with you. Pull a double box if you can. Just to give us multiple eyes on here. We'll keep that camera shot up as we see the hail moving to the south. And the National Weather Service still saying there's likely some golf ball size hail along the county line and to the west towards Saybrook. Saybrook, I think, is next in line for the biggest hail, though there certainly is going to be some smaller hail, perhaps up to quarter in Anchor, maybe along and west of Highway 47. So Gibson City, if you've got a garage, you got a shelter you can get your car into, you're running out of time here, but you got a little bit of time to do that. And so that's something that we're going to keep a close eye on here for a little bit. Let me reset here and talk about what we're watching. Okay, getting some pea-sized hail in Sibley from Luke. Luke let him know there's some pea-sized hail in Sibley. Small hail, that's good. So we're going to continue to watch here, though I'm suspicious that we might be seeing that updraft go up a little bit in the Sibley area. And so we're going to watch where you can see some of that purple color in there. So it looks like we got the double box here. You'll see me on the left and then the camera on the right. We'll keep a close eye on that area of pink now. A lot of heavy rain, and there's been some pea-sized hail in Sibley. Sibley sits on the right side of 47. The left side is where that big pink core is. So we're just going to have a watch and see how this evolves. It's very close. And then on this side of the screen right here is that Gibson City camera that we'll watch. The National Weather Service still continuing the severe thunderstorm warning for 70-mile-per-hour winds and golf ball size hail. So that's going to go for another, it looks like 19 minutes for McLean County before we find out what happens with this particular event. So we will watch and keep a close eye on. The lightning is something else that's impressive with this storm, and so that's something we'll have to watch and keep a close eye on. Let me see if I can take a look here at just want to kind of, so you can kind of make it out. I'm backing it up a little bit. And what I want you to do is kind of focus your eyes on something. First off, if you look right in here, this is about 1 o'clock when you started seeing the storm. Right in that area, there's a thin line that's now moving as I advance it forward. There's a thin line. That is the outflow boundary. And what happened here is this storm started to pull the inflow in and ingest that outflow boundary and pull it in. And that's what gave it some of that spin and is helping to feed on it. And to me, it looks like that outflow boundary is still in that storm. So we're still feeding and still taking in some of that instability. And I'm looking at debris tracker. There's a lot of just garbly gook. Looks like someone spilled some confetti on the floor here. But I'm able to make out some of those features in here and see that outflow boundary is still in place. And I'll take another look here. This is a different product we'll use. That outflow boundary sits kind of right in here. So there's still going to be the potential that this storm spins back up and can take advantage of that. We'll see how it interacts. The next little bit's going to be key for it here, but at this point, we don't have an active tornado warning. We've just got the severe thunderstorm warning. Your inflow notch, that outflow boundary comes right in here. There's your inflow notch into the storm. And that area of circulation is going to be north of Saybrook, north of Route 9. Weak as it is, but that's the area we've got to watch. And on the screen here on the right, that's going to be kind of right in the edge here. I'm keeping an eye on my screen as well in the back. So that's just something to note. And as that circulation there moves to the south and keeps on that outflow boundary, we just got to watch it. Keep a very close eye on it. Looks like there's some heavy rain coming into Gibson now. I can see in the sky cam, it looks like the wind has turned out of the north here. There's going to be some 50 to 60 mile an hour winds and some heavy rain. Some hail potential also in Ford County, Gibson City area from this storm. And so we'll watch that closely and see if we get any reports from Gibson City. You could let us know in the chat. We're watching that. And if needed, we'll be ready to go back on TV, although at this point I don't see that being the case. And then still a lot of heavy rain and wind in Colfax and Anchor. That storm's slowly moving. They just did issue a flood advisory for Ford and Livingston County from this storm. And I'm going to look at the rainfall totals, the estimated rainfall totals. There's going to be some heavy, heavy totals in this storm. It's so slow moving. And give it a minute to update all that data in here. It'll take a minute for that to happen. There we go. We're starting to see some of it come in, and let me just switch this to the last 6 hours. So some of these estimates in here, those green shades, you start getting to 1 to 2 inch range. And if we start seeing yellow, that's generally over 2 inches. And so there's certainly some heavy rain that is with this storm. It's slow moving. That's a concern with these slow moving storms and what that can happen. And so we will watch it closely. Okay, let's hit the reset button here. Area-wide view. Talk about what is going on. We got one storm. That's it. We don't even have a watch hour at this point. The Storm Prediction Center says we don't think there's enough for a watch. It's an isolated threat. There could be one later, but we just have to wait and see. And you'll see Ford and McLean counties where we've got warnings right now. Slow moving to the south here. I mean, it's taking its time, 15 miles an hour. You drive through school zones faster. That school zone speed limit a lot of times is 20 miles an hour. Very slow pace here moving to the south. With that comes a lot of heavy rain. Gusty winds, 60, even 70 mile per hour winds have been reported in McLean County. And then golf ball size hail has been reported with this storm along the McLean-Ford County line and points to the west. And so we'll keep a very close eye on that for the next little bit. Okay, let's kind of watch here. Keep a close eye on this. I'm kind of checking some different sources of data to get an idea of what's going on. Do a little radar analysis also on the fly here. Okay, let me switch that one to this. If we can go ahead and bring the Gibson City camera full screen real quick. One of the issues we've got at this camera is that we cannot turn it, so it is stuck in the direction. But on the left side of the screen there, I'm really curious, based on what I'm seeing on radar, maybe the rotation's trying to pick up. Now you see the base of the cloud on the left side there. That's going to be over by the county line west of Gibson City by about 4 or 5 miles. So this would not be a Gibson City issue if it does spin up and do something. So we're going to watch very closely and see. It looks like there's a lot of turbulence over there, and I'm curious if my dad is listening and watching, or anyone in that area can get some eyeballs on it. Again, watching about a mile or two north of Highway 9, Route 9, between Saybrook curves and the Route 9 county line curves. That's just exiting our shot, and that's really unfortunate that it does that. But it seems like that's going to be the area to watch. I don't know if you're keeping an eye on that too, Jan. You're starting to get the rain and losing visibility. But there's some pretty good turbulence back there, it appears, way off in the distance. I mean, we're talking at the middle left of the screen and beyond, where that little lowering is in there. So that's the area that I'm curious about. And, we're starting to see the heavy rain coming to Gibson City too. It doesn't look like there's any hail hitting the roof at this point at the hospital, but that's certainly something that we're going to watch and keep a very close eye on here for the next little bit. Let me just kind of figure out here what's going on. I would say at this point there's probably going to be some large hail, and there's going to be some large hail coming towards Saybrook. At this point, Saybrook, you're next in line for the large hail. Some small hail certainly possible in Gibson City and in western Ford County. We'll watch to the west of town. I know some friends that are out that way, and so we're going to watch those areas. But Gibson City, it seems like okay, so Pete Hornstein's saying he's got some pea-sized hail, very spotty northwest of Gibson. That doesn't surprise me here with this storm. So raining in Sibley, no hail so far. That's good. I see some of these colors in radar. We can bring max 2 full. So those pink colors picking up northwest of Gibson City is something we're going to have to watch here closely and keep an eye on. We still got that severe thunderstorm. The biggest hail to me is in the area southeast of Colfax, north of Saybrook. This storm is moving very slowly. Some heavy rain, likely going to get 2 inch per hour rainfall rates in Gibson City. I know Gibson City is a little sensitive to the rain issues here too. There will probably be some flooding, minor flooding at least in Gibson City. This isn't one of those August events that we had. This isn't a major event, but we're going to see some water pond up as the heavy rainfall rates will, overcome some of the drainage systems. And that's the case with this. You get these slow-moving storms, they're going to dump a lot of rain. we're not seeing anything, I don't think, that's as nearly significant as before, but still, it wouldn't surprise me to get some flooding of some of the traditional spots in town. North Park, Lot Boulevard by Heartland Bank. Some of those places probably going to get some water on the roads from this particular storm that moves to the south into town. So expect some heavy rain. We might get a couple inches out of it, but I don't expect this to be, it's still moving. It hasn't stalled out, and I don't think it's going to stall out, but it's going to rain for a little while here in the area. All right, looks like you see that pink picking up there north of Saybrook at the Saybrook curves on Route 9? That to me is where the biggest of the hail is going to be. I'm getting some small hail reports in Sibley. We've been getting plenty of those with this particular storm. I'm going to throw on the velocity here, kind of get an idea of what's going on. The strongest the wind as well is going to be kind of on the west side of the county line here. There'll be some wind in Ford County, but the strongest wind, the worst of the storm to me, is an eastern McLean County issue. And while I don't see anything yet that indicates a tornadic circulation, still there does appear to be a little tinge of rotation north of Saybrook where this storm is. And I'll kind of draw that out. You see this inflow right in here. That's the area to me that might have the best potential. It would go between the Saybrook curves and the Route 9 curves if that happened. And I know we've got some folks over there that have a view. Let me just check and see some of the text that I've gotten here as well. Last check. Okay, let's see if he's got an update for me there. Okay, keeping an eye on that storm. Again, the worst of it's going to be west of Gibson. There will be some heavy rain, some small hail in Gibson City. That would not surprise me. I do think that we will see some continuing of the large hail threat and damaging wind threat in McLean County. And so that's something that we're going to watch and keep a very close eye on here for the next little bit. Jalen, is there a chance you can mute my mic for like 30 seconds? Okay, perfect. We're going to mute real quick. I need to talk back behind the production real quick, and so bear with us. We'll be right back here after a quick little break. Okay, excuse me. We're back on here, just taking care of some things behind the scenes. Thanks for bearing with us here. That's what happens when you one-man band this. It looks like we've got a flash flood warning now for McLean County as well. And there you can see that green box. I'm not surprised. I mean, they've had some heavy rain. There will be a new flash flood warning probably needed in Ford County as well. I don't think it is anything, this isn't a, we're sensitive in Gibson City, and rightfully so after what happened a year ago. But, there's going to be some heavy rain. We may get a couple inches out of this at the most. 2, maybe 3 would be an upper end, I think, for this storm as it carries on through. Had a report of 2.75 inches in Colfax earlier. That doesn't surprise me. We did also just get an extension of the severe thunderstorm warning. And this is going to include Champaign County. So there may be a number of you in Champaign County that got an update on your NOAA weather radio. My radio is unplugged in here, but that's okay. My radio isn't plugged, but I know if it's Champaign County, it's going to go off. Let's talk about who's in and who's out in Champaign County. That's going to be areas north of Fisher. Really, town-wise, it's Fishland, and that's it. Downstream, though, we will watch for Fisher. We will watch Mahomet. We'll watch Champaign-Urbana, Seymour, and then further to the west, Farmers City, Mansfield. Those areas are the next in line beyond the warnings. But the warning now itself is going to be for northern Champaign County and the sliver. There's maybe 20 square miles there in the Fooshland area to the east towards the Dewey-Elliott Road, Dewey-Fisher Road, I should say. And then we've got McLean County that the warning continues for 70-mile-per-hour winds and move to the south and to the east. Okay. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and pull the Gibson City camera up real quick. I'm going to peek at that. There's a flash flood warning that is coming for Ford County. That's going to include Sibley and include Gibson City. Likely a couple of inches of rain. And so, there'll be a flash flood warning. If you've got the WCI3 weather app, it will come for you. At this point, again, I do not believe it's going to be nearly as substantial of an event as the event everyone knows in Gibson. But still, we're watching closely and keeping an eye on it. That slow movement of the storm isn't helpful, but it at least is still moving a little bit here. A very slow move. The heaviest rain seems to be just west of town, in my opinion. But we'll continue to watch here. The core of that storm now between Sibley and Gibson City may bring some wind damage into the Gibson City area here in a little bit, so we're going to watch and keep an eye on it. That flash flood warning just came out until 6:45, and you'll see it's going to be the western part of the county. Same area as the severe thunderstorm warning. That means we've got severe thunderstorm warnings for Ford, Champaign, McLean, flash flood warnings for Iroquois, Ford, and McLean counties with the slow movement of these storms as it continues to the south and to the east. Okay, let's take a look here at our velocity. Again, rotation, something we'll continue to watch. And you can see here the velocity. There's nothing that really we really can't see that quite as much. There's nothing that's standing out, but I do see some strong inflow winds south of Gibson City, and I see strong winds wrapping around in McLean County's side. So I think at this point, yes, Gibson City will get some wind. You'll get some, maybe some small hail to sneak on in, but still, we're going to keep an eye on it. This is a picture I've got on the quad. I'm going to walk over to the quad and show you what this is. This just came from west of Gibson City right now from my dad out in the field here. And you look at the green color in the sky. I mean, that is very green. This is our shelf cloud here. If there was an area of rotation, it would be embedded back in that somewhere, but there's nothing obvious on radar. That's the outflow boundary it's wrapping in on it. And so he's sitting west of Gibson and Route 9, looking back to the north and west into this storm here. There's a lot of inflow winds, he says, and that green color there, you usually see green color. A lot of folks say, hey, that's hail. That can be hail. That can also be a sign of really strong rain, really heavy rain, I should say, in that storm. So certainly that's something we've gotten golf ball size hail reports. That doesn't surprise me one bit with these storms here. Let's go back to the Gibson City camera real quick and just bring that one up. We'll watch it, and then we're going to switch back to our radar in a minute. But the Gibson City camera showing that heavy rain coming down, and it may rain for an hour or two and give us some heavy rain. We'll start seeing some localized ponding of the water, but the storm should keep moving. And if that happens, then that's good news. We see it slowly moving, kind of spinning around here and hanging out. We want to kick it to the curb as it's moving at I think the latest update from the National Weather Service has it moving, they have it moving south at 15 miles an hour. I mean, that's slow. This is a slow-moving storm. There's likely to be some flooding in those areas here. All right, Saybrook reporting hail. If you've got a size of hail in Saybrook, that'd be appreciated. And Colfax, more hail also occurring. If you got sizes, hey, it looks like quarter, take a coin, throw it out there, quarter, penny, a dime, a nickel. Or if it's larger than that too, that's good to know. We'll appreciate those reports and keep a close eye on it. Hey, Jalen, what I'd like to do is I'd like to jump back on the TV for a 3-minute cut-in, and I'll just let you direct that. You don't have to immediately jump in, but give them a time, maybe 2:46 or 2:47 to 2:50, and we'll just do a 3-minute cut-in update. We'll start on camera 1, and then we can double box if we want. I just want to update with this storm, given the flash flood warnings and the hail that we're seeing. Does that work? Okay, cool, thank you. We're going to look ready for a little TV cut-in here with the storm. So we got some dime to nickel hail reported in Saybrook. The worst of the hail not there yet in Saybrook. There's still some good hail between Saybrook and Anchor. It'll start small, but it's probably going to start getting a little bigger. So just count on that with the storm in the Saybrook area. Looks like it's pretty wet and windy in Gibson City as well here on that camera, and so we're going to watch that closely and keep an eye on this storm as it moves to the south. I will say on the direction it's heading, lightning will be a concern. We've got the Champaign County Fair going on. That's going to be an issue. I think the Champaign County Fair may have some delays or some closings, and that's something else we want to mention real quick with the storm. Melissa's saying she got big hail now. Again, a size is always helpful. Either a coin or a golf ball or a ping pong ball or things of that help us with the size. Perfect. You mean a minute? Minute and 10, right? 3 minutes? Okay, yeah, I see what you're saying. Okay, perfect. So we're about a minute away from a TV cut-in here, and so that means in about 50 seconds we'll go quiet, and then you'll see us full screen as we cut in with the storm. A lot of big hail in Saybrook on this storm. And again, any size that you got, Martha, is helpful. Jill's saying it's dime to nickels. Okay, Ruth. And we'll just start on me full screen. Does that work, Jalen? If you want to go ahead and just set up here. We're about 15 seconds out in TV, so go ahead and we'll stand by for on our coverage. Perfect. Five seconds out. Stand by. I'm WCIA3 meteorologist Jacob Dickey. Wanted to update you real quick on storms moving through parts of central Illinois. We've got right now a severe thunderstorm warning continuing for McLean, for northwestern Champaign and Ford counties. This storm has had a history of 70-mile-per-hour winds and golf ball size hail. The core of the storm now is located in the region between Saybrook, Colfax, Sibley, and Gibson City. The largest of the hail now still along and north of Route 9 on the western side of the McLean County-Ford County line. Moving off to the south, we're starting to get our first reports of dime to nickel-size hail in Saybrook. There's been plenty of heavy rain in Gibson City. The storm moving to the south at only 15 miles an hour, a slow mover. While we've got those warnings, I want to update you as well. We do have flash flood warnings in effect for western Ford County and then eastern McLean County. There's been areas of 2 to 4 inches of rain here. We also have a continuing flash flood warning for Iroquois County and Benton County, Indiana, from earlier storms that have gone on through. Slow-moving storms dumping a lot of rain in a short period of time here in central Illinois. Let's go ahead and see if we can't double box with the Gibson City camera real quick. We'll give you a view outside of what's happening. On the right side of your screen is our Gibson City Skycam. We've seen the rain coming down there at a pretty good clip. The worst of the storm is west of town, not by much, but still close enough to where we're seeing all of that lightning and getting some of the rain. The hail seems to be along and west of the county line, but certainly there still could be some hail along and west of Illinois 47 in Ford County. Things to note downstream from this, we've got to talk about the Champaign County Fair is going on. We've also got the DeWitt County Fair in Farmers City. The lightning with these storms has been pretty impressive here, and I'll turn on the lightning for you. We're seeing a lot of lightning with this. That's a concern for the outdoor activities at the Farmers City, DeWitt County Fairgrounds, even the Champaign County Fairgrounds eventually. 15 miles an hour, slow moving to the south. While maybe the worst of the storm will miss one or the other, the lightning will still be an issue, and we expect to see some impacts to those events at the Farmers City and the Champaign County Fairgrounds here in the next hour or so. Severe thunderstorm warning does continue. The main concern is for 70-mile-per-hour winds and golf ball size hail. We've had both of those, and both of those reported in the Colfax and Anchor area. There's been some trees and power lines also reported down out there, and so we're continuing to watch here. Our concerns mainly for the wind, the hail, and the threat for flooding rains. Of course, we'll keep you updated online. We're on digital platforms now. We'll send it back to our regularly scheduled programming. Join us on digital platforms for continuing coverage. Okay, we are clear on our television coverage. We're sticking with our severe weather coverage online here. Getting reports of some nickel-sized hail in the Saybrook area as the storm moves south here. We hope it keeps moving. 15 miles an hour isn't that fast. There's some development in the backside of it moving straight east here. So this is riding that outflow boundary slowly to the south. And so it won't move that much at all here as it's slowly working its way down. So we will see the severe thunderstorm warning continuing for McLean, northwestern Champaign, and western Ford counties. Those warnings are going to continue. We've got the Ford County warning until 3 o'clock. That's in 9 minutes. The National Weather Service says they will likely extend it for southwestern Ford County, including the Gibson City area, after 3 o'clock for a little bit. Then we also have the severe thunderstorm warning in McLean County, and that one goes until 3:30. So I suspect we'll continue to do coverage here for the next little bit as these storms roll on through. What I want to do now here is, Jalen, if we can, we're going to take a short little break. Why don't you just put the radar full screen and then mute the microphone for me, and you can go ahead and get started doing that. We're going to take a little 3-minute break here on digital coverage. I'll fill up my water bottle, take care of a few reports behind the scenes, and then we'll be back here at about 2:55 with more coverage. 2:55. Stay with WCIA. We'll keep you updated ahead of the storm.